one. So yeah, there's the obvious thing of casting big expensive spells, either like using your treasures or using like other ways to reduce the cost. So there's an interesting thing here, which is like the Magecraft cards. They are very aggro. So for example, there's the 2/2 that can become unblockable. There's a Patchmate, there's a Defender, but you can attack with if you have the Magecraft trigger. So that leads me to think maybe there's two decks here. One is more like a tempo one, and one is more like the big ram one. Yeah, like Sierkovitz. So maybe we can go to the archetypes and take a look at the one. Actually, I have to go soon, but maybe we can take a look at the tempo I have first.
Sure, let's build your
Definitely
tempo. Okay, up.
Yep. So yeah, so actually one reason I started looking at this is there are a couple of cards that I don't know where they fit in other archetypes. So for example, the 1/2 flash that gives something -1. There is the first state of class that give your creature haste, and the 0/2, right? The 0/2 maybe you can use it on fractals, but it doesn't seem like the fractals will need it. So I'm wondering, okay, maybe this is more like a spell deck. You play this out, and you play these hasty creatures that can attack early, and try to. And there's also the Frostlings that taps them, and try to kill them as soon as you can. So this is kind of like, I don't really like know much about building this kind of tempo deck. So this is like my first try, but maybe this is like a very viable thing. I'm definitely going to try this out and see how it works.
Yeah, I like that you I like that you added some cards that aren't really, like as you mentioned, right, playable anywhere else. Like I'm very happy to see the Symmetry Sage here and the Befuddler and the Etaverse, like, because those are cards that don't really have a home outside of this tempo deck, right? Which makes me assume it's a thing. See, we'll see. Frost Trickster in best common in the set. It's strange, right? Because I think on raid it's the best common in the set, right? 2/2 flyer that also taps a thing and it doesn't untap, but it doesn't have a home in the big spell deck that we'll talk about. Well, it's a fine card there, but it's not like at its best, and it's also not really at its best in the Quandrix decks we looked at. So like, but it's insane here. So maybe that's another signal that this deck might actually be.
I think that this deck is more than real. I think that this is the way of drafting Prismari, not the big spell. Big spell is a trap.
Hot take.
Hot take.
Ooh. Okay. Big spell is a trap, folks. You heard it here first. Well, I like it. It might be true, honestly. Honestly. It might be true.
I mean, look at the ways of getting to big spells. There's not so many. It is busted. The links with links is busted. And I think that this is the perfect home for it. I think that this so much reminds me of the red-blue tempo from Theros in the way that. So I like this build. It's probably better than mine in terms of how you optimize your creatures. The one thing that might be problematic with this one is not enough spells to trigger all your Magecraft.
Yep, that is true.
This is going to be super.
Yeah. I'll just throw up the.
They are very similar. I mean, they're super similar. I mean, I changed mine a bit and maybe weakened it.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, then there's the enthusiastic study, which also seems weird in the other, like the lawful archetypes.
Yeah, no, I think it's great in here because it makes you smash for 5 because you have flyers, or for 6, and then you draw another spell just to play the spell to enable attacking for the 3/3s and things like that.
Yeah, I like this one. So key cards, Blade Mage, of course, Frost Trickster.
Again,
Aerialist. How important is this, guys?
Blade Mage?
No, the Aerialist. The
I don't think it's particularly important. I mean, I would swap it for a 3 mana flyer, but I had to put something.
Oh,
I'd rather have more Frost Fixer also. I mean, this is like also one of the cards you don't want to put in the other archetypes, so maybe it's for here.
Better.
And you know, I mean, there's not so much reach. There is not so much other flyers and other colors, so it can be a threat.
Oh.
I think that this deck in particular, that's why I put it, multiple choice is absolutely perfect for this deck. This is like a card that was customly built just for this deck. Because when you think about it, it's a spell, so it triggers all your Magecraft. It creates a creature, which is great, and it also bounces their permanent, which means that they lose tempo, which you want. What is the point of playing that?
Interesting.
Okay. Did you want to say anything about the Pledge Mage here?
Oh no, I thought you were asking about Pledge Mage, but I think Pledge Mage is just good because it can clog the board on the blocks, and what I really liked in Hululu's Max's build was that red white card. I think it's great. I didn't think about it, but it's absolutely bonkers in here because it not only gives you the trigger, but also makes sure that even if you lose a creature, you're going not to lose the tempo because you replace it with a 3/2 at least. So, yeah, I really like it. What does it? Make your mark.
There are some synergies that get lost here, right? The Spectacle Mage, instant sorcery spells above 5 cost 1 less to cast. No targets for that. Here, there's this line of text.
You can have, no?
Sorry, again.
You have your sideboard elementals.
Of course, there's the annihilation, and there could be yeah, definitely. And there's also the apprentice text. It says if it's value 5 or greater, you put a counter on it. So some text gets lost, but I totally agree with you guys that this looks viable.
Like, look, I mean, this is the sort of early build, but I think that if those synergies are going to be important, I would like max out on cards like Pigment Storm, is it? The deal 5 and then trample over the extra damage. Because that will cost 4 mana and that would trigger and it will put a counter on your unblockable guy. So, you know, it depends on how many of them you have. I only had one because I had the limit that I imposed myself silly. But if I have 2-3 of the Prismari apprentices, I will definitely build my deck that I will make sure that I put counters on those things. Trust me on that.
Yeah.
And, you know, in this particular deck, I don't want to put counters by casting a Magma Opus or whatever 8 mana thing that you have. I want to cast a 5 mana spell for 4 mana on turn 4.
Right.
That's how I want to trigger.
One that I really like here is the deal 5, and if the creature has less than 5 toughness, is remaining damage to face. I think that card would be excellent.
Yeah, Pigment Storm. That's what I meant.
Pigment Storm. Yeah. I really like that one here.
I think it's especially it goes to the face in quite a lot of cases, and it will remove almost everything basically, unless they play some massive fractals.
Yeah, agree. Do you want to dive into a big spell variant or any last thoughts?
Okay, guys, I have to go soon. Go first.
Sure, no problem, Max. It was a pleasure to have you here.
Yep. Thank you for inviting me. This is great.
We'll talk later, Max.
Talk later. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Hey, bye.
The camera window of Sierkovitz, likely, yeah, going to do that. Let's leave it like this, right? Or yeah.
I just took over Hululu.
Right, you're now Max and Sierko at one. We'll leave it like this. It takes a bit of time to. Let's look at the big spell variant, shall we?
Yeah.
Let's see. You can tell us all about why you don't love this one. So let me quickly go over why I think I kind of like this. So pledge mages are here mostly to stay alive. As you can see, I don't think there are a lot of 2-drops that support archetype outside of staying alive. Black mage is the best one to do that. So on turn 2, I rather do something else. I would like to do like an expressive iteration, which lets me make sure that I have a 3-drop to play. For example, I can also see a counter spell here on turn 2. viable. So any of the counterspell variants that are in the archive or in the set itself that enable me to like counter opponents drop, I would probably play in this archetype. So the early game is staying alive, countering whatever they have. I think in the 3-drop slot, the Spectacle Mage allows me to cast a 5 mana spell on turn 4. So if I get a Spectacle Mage down on 3, I'm starting to Pigment Storming on 5 probably. No, it does not. It does not sound viable, but well, honestly, I kind of think it does. I think this archetype is able to stay alive and then play the big spells on like turn 4, 5, and 6. I think that's viable. But we'll see. I think it's also not a bad thing to just make a treasure token on. If you have a good turn 3 play, you can use the treasure to play like a 5-drop on turn 4 or a 6-drop on turn. So I'm not writing this off entirely, I would say. You are.
Yeah. I'm not, no, not entirely, but I think it's a trap though.
But like something like this on turn 5 or 6 is insane, right?
Something like?
Something like Explosive Welcome on turn 5 or 6? That's just...
Yeah.
Like, you clear the entire board, and from that point on you're in control, basically.
But you can then Quandrix place the Bookworm on turn 5, 6, and what?
Yeah, that's true. Okay, maybe I'm too enthusiastic about this. Maybe I should lower my expectations.
I just think that, it's going to win games. It's not going to be terrible, but I'm just like worried. Okay, yeah, I spent 6 mana or 7 mana making 2 4/4s. Like, but I need some density of those spells to actually make them work. Now,
right.
If I draw 4 of the 7 mana spells in my opening hand, I basically increase my mulligan rate already.
Oh, of course, but I think you're happy to have 2, right? I think you're happy to have 2. You'll use the discard ability on turn 1 of them, and you're able to play the second one at least on turn.
Yeah, no. I mean, of this particular spell, I'm happy with having 2. But I mean, the point is that if I want to make the big spell archetype, at least I want to have like 5, 6 payoffs for that.
Do you think you need more than I've shown here? Like, I think this is reasonable, right? 3, 5 mana.
Yeah, but you have 7 big spells, really. I mean, okay, they are 5 mana, which is alright, but these all benefit from having big spells.
I think Spectacle Mage is key, right? You be able to cast these on. Otherwise, you're going to.
Yeah, so I think what this thing suffers from is that you have A spells and B spells, and if you only draw A spells, you're doing nothing, and if you only draw B spells, you die. So you have to draw the right quantity of A spells and the right quantity of B spells, and we know that it doesn't work that easily. I'm pretty sure that this.
Okay, I'm on board. I like the idea of this. I get what you're saying. You need to draw exactly the right spells first, then the right spells second to be able to do the thing. It's reliable on like. Like if they kill imagine them killing your Spectacle Mage, like, and you not being
Wait, imagine killing the Spectacle Mage with the 1 black mana instant.
Right. You lost the game basically. Yeah. Okay. So I think the conclusion here is we're thinking Prismari is a tempo deck more.
And I think it's a damn good tempo deck. Okay. It's going to be probably the best aggressive deck of this format. I will gamble that punt that it's going to be better than Silver Quill.
Okay. That's a take. I'm a big Silver Quill fan so far, but I get what you're saying. I like it. Okay, let's leave this.
It's a punt, I don't lose anything if I'm wrong. I was not supposed to be right, but if I'm right, I'm right.
Oh damn!
I have a recording of that. There will be a VOD of this.
Then you have a lot of internet points. Yeah, for sure. Okay. Okay. So some of these standout cards are meant for the 7 mana archetype, which is the right 4. So let's not look at those. Fletchmate and Heated Debate are insane cards, right? If we're building the tempo deck, these two are
Yeah, I think that they're great. I think Creative Outburst is the best card for the Prismari big spells.
Yeah, I like it a lot.
No one is going to take it away from you. Explosive Welcome is going to be plucked by the crafty Quandrix players.
Yep.
Creative Outburst is going to be yours.
Okay. Shall we wrap up Prismari and dive towards our end game here?
Well, as we decided, Prismari doesn't have an end game.
Yep, son. I think it's good to talk so we've talked about colleges so far, which are 2-color archetypes. I think there are other decks in this format. I think especially the 3-color wedges are quite playable in this format. And I think each wedge has like the combination of the 2 colleges suggests wedge is going a certain way. So I try to list the 5 wedges and also the 4+ color stuff, just to like share our general thoughts on wedges, but just our general thoughts. So first up is Temur, and I think as you just mentioned, right, the big Prismari spells could be played into a Quandrix deck that's going to play a lot of lands and ramping anyway, which makes the Prismari spells definitely playable. At that point, you're becoming more of a spells-oriented Quandrix deck, I would say. And I think Quandrix Fletchmates is quite playable in that first deck. Why I listed that card here as well. But all in all, I think Temur is going to ramp towards big spells. And it's basically a Quandrix deck that might land some of the Prismari big spells. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Sorry, I was completely confused by my cat walking around. Obviously, at the moment, I agree with the takes. I think that I'm most looking forward to Temur. I think that this is where some big spells will find a very nice and cozy home.
Yep.
I didn't think about the Jeskai, but it looks pretty viable.
Yeah, so the overlap that I see there is that Lorehold likes to have spells in the graveyard, while Prismari is pretty good with getting them in there, right? So I like that.
I totally see that happening. I still think that there might be some kind of an Abzan.
Oh yeah, I've Abzan listed later. So Mardu is basically twin scroll shaman steroids, I would say. I think this is a very hard card to figure out where it has a home, but if you can start putting like white and black pom spells on it, it suddenly becomes a real card, I would say.
Yeah, I think that I see a Mardu as a sort of like buff your creatures magecraft kind of archetype.
Yeah.
But I see also like eager first years going on with some black spells that put things and give indestructible, and it's just, I don't know if the mana is there, because these aggressive decks, they need perfect mana from the start.
Yeah.
So I don't know exactly how it works, but at least
especially to play
at least
Mardu,
I see a potential there.
Especially to play Mardu, I think you need a lot of tap lands to make mana base. I fully agree.
And you don't want to make tap lands in the aggressive deck.
Yeah, Lapido in the chat is saying there's so little fixing. I disagree. And there's a bit of fixing on the next slide, so we'll get to that. Sultai is doing Sultai things, so I think like blue-green allows you to go to the late game rather well, and I think what black-green is adding there is a lot of survival power, like with the life gain, the blocking. So my idea of Sultai is like defense removal and late game, basically.
It's Sultai might be like it's against everything I would believe in, but Sultai might be a go wide sort of thing.
Right, fractals and pests going white. I can see that.
Exactly. Yeah.
If you pick up the right cards, I can definitely see that happening. Yeah.
Or maybe it can be this sort of like adding the blue to the grindy life gain one for card draw, basically.
Right,
That's
card
all.
draw, some late game. Yeah, I can definitely see. Absent was the most obvious, I think. Plus one outers all around, I would say.
Yeah, but like sort of paired with live game.
Right, it's like live game to put counters on your plot researchers, stay alive, just go wide, go big.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of like that.
Yeah, I think that 4 colors good stuff. Obviously, it can be in any color combination now with the environmental sciences.
Right.
But I probably would still go for something Prismari based. No, Quandrix based.
Yeah, because you need to stay alive, right? And you want to get there quick.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
it's like when you have a particularly good top end from something else. Like really, I'm talking like maybe the Velamachus Lorcol or Opus Magma Opus or
right.
things like
something like game winning big.
Yeah.
Hey, but okay, so Lapido is saying like there's some color stuff, but I think there are like three uncolored like comments here listed, right? I don't think there's some stuff. I think this is quite a lot.
Actually. Hey Paul. I think that fixing is quite easy. It's just that is there enough incentive to fix?
Right. And maybe there's not, but if you pick up like if pack 1 you open a good card, pack 2 you open a good card in another color, pack 3 there's another good card in another color, I think at that point, right, you might pick up your environmental sciences a bit higher, maybe you pick up a letter of acceptance, pick 7, pick 8, and suddenly you're towards this deck that might like play all 3, right? I think that's the thing.
Yeah, it makes sense. At least at the beginning, I think I will focus on playing 2 colors and figure out what goes on. I think that taking multicolor archetypes is like late game.
Right, I agree.
Not the first week of the format. I think that one thing that this stream has made me more keen on is the Prismari tempo. I think
tempo deck. Yeah, definitely. That was an eye opener. Like that.
It was an eye opener for me, and I bloody built one.
Right, you bloody built one, but I think the one that Max built was like excellent on another level, right? So I really like that one.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think it's a combination of the 2 of ours was a very good idea that.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks
didn't
for the follow.
Happen in my head well.
Thanks for the follow, United, and Lapido. Yeah, quality is a little off. I agree. It's not the best fixing around. But I think it's very plentiful, right? So if you have enough reason to play these like mediocre fixers, I think you make up for it in card quality. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, no, this is the thing that I'm worried. I agree with the Lapido Walker there. That except for environmental sciences, which has a very low cost of putting it, but putting those 2 ones that don't do much, or letter of acceptance that clogs your play pattern, is a real cost. And I really would like to get a lot from it. But because there is no path to the world tree here, I don't have any kind of benefit of being 5 colors aside from being able to put some strong cards from other colors. I really want to be some kind of busted mythics in order to go for that.
Yeah, no, that I agree with, definitely. Okay, we have a few slides here to end on. As we mentioned, mystical archive cards are present in this set, and I think they're a big part of the craft. Every pack is going to contain one. Of course, they won't always be mythic. I think 1 in 12 is going to go, 1 in 15? Crunch those numbers, right? Or
I mean, I didn't crunch shit. It was just told by the wizards.
Don't tell them. You crunched this.
10 out of 15 are going to be uncommon, 4 out of 15 are going to be rare, and 1 out of 15 is going to be mythic. So 1.6 per pod of mythics, 4 times that. So 6.4 rare, and the rest is going to be uncommon.
Right.
Which, when you convert it to numbers, where I actually did crunch some numbers, makes that uncommons from Mystical Archive as frequent as uncommons from the regular pack. So your chance of getting eliminate is more or less in the pod is more or less the same as getting any other uncommon.
Yeah.
Which is useful to know.
Yeah, and that makes them a serious part of this this rough format, right? This limited format. So
yeah.
I think it's good to
I see you picked the weakest ones for the
well
for the slide.
No, I think this slide is just outlining some pick one pack ones, right? You should never pass these cards.
Yeah, yeah. But I mean, you see this kind Approach of the Second Sun. This is the kind of a card that makes me want to play Lorehold.
Yeah, same with Day of Judgment, right? Those are excellent Lorehold
Yeah.
cards. So if you pick those up, suddenly the Lorehold archetype, the Lorehold College, pretty interesting. I agree. Yeah. Okay, so Mystical Archive cards. People, they are here. Study them, look at them, figure out what Mystical Archive cards are good where. Corticals, Alex wrote a great CFB article about that. There's a link later on. Yeah. Don't sideline these, because these are a serious part of the limited time around. They're not like any other. Like what did we have in Kaladesh or in Ether Revolt? What were they called? Like those cards that you never opened.
Oh, the expeditions or something.
Yeah, right. And these look very similar, but these aren't similar. Like these are very.
No, the frequency. I mean, you should really take. That's why I put them in my skeletons, because you'll get them. You'll get 3 on average per draft.
Definitely.
Oh, masterpieces. Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah, masterpiece. Ephemerate. Ephemerate is one of the cards that we'll see in the archive. There are not a lot of cards that are good with it, but there are some cards that are very good with it. So this is a slide just highlighting some of the very valuable enter the battlefield triggers that we have in this set. And if you have a couple of these in your deck, Ephemerate might suddenly look like a very good card.
Now, I really want to see you ephemerating Pawel without having at least a slight shake in your hand.
Yeah, that's true. That is true. Okay, let's go on, right? So I think this is the last slide in the deck. It's just some useful links. Like, of course, the 3 of us, Pawel, me, and of course Max included. We studied before this stream, and we got our information from other sources. As we said at the start, credit where credit is due, and I think these are some great resources to check out if you want to know more about Strixhaven. So please go ahead, click this, open our slide deck, click these links, and dive into the different sources that are available.